The gospel is the central message of Christianity, good news about Jesus. Now, you can describe the gospel in a few different ways. You can talk about it as news, bad news, a saviour, and good news. The bad news of sin, how Jesus rescues us from the bad news and brings us into the good news of resurrection and life with Jesus forever. You can also talk about it as chapters of reality. So all of reality is a story made up of 4 enormous chapters: creation, fall, redemption, and restoration. Another way of thinking about the story is in emotional categories. So the Heidelberg Catechism describes the gospel as misery, deliverance, and gratitude. The misery of sin, the feeling that we have when we're enslaved to sin, the feeling that we have when we're rescued from sin, and the feeling that describes our life after sin. Another way of describing or summarising the gospel is a story. So Jesus told a lot of stories, and one of his parables is the parable of the wicked tenants. And this parable is a story by Jesus that describes his own work. And in this story, a landowner leaves his land to be looked after by some tenants, and they kill the servants that the landowner sends, the messenger that he sends. And eventually the landowner sends his son, and they kill his son in order to take the farm as their own. And this little story summarises the whole story of the Bible, but it also summarises the work of Jesus. The gospel can also be a doctrinal statement. It can be a summary of belief or a focus on a particular doctrine. Often justification or righteousness is the focus of a gospel summary. But they're all different ways of summarising, of condensing and communicating the good news about Jesus.